As we've mentioned in previous videos, right-wing propagandists like Sean Hannity have been visibly panicking over the matter of abortion with respect to the upcoming election, particularly after the conservative Arizona Supreme Court effectively banned abortion in that state using a Civil War-era law. And now Hannity is so desperate, he's trying to hold Democrats accountable for the law and the ruling, even though fellow Fox News hosts admit it's basically Trump's fault. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we got a couple of clips to look at, but we're actually going to start with Martha McCallum, who is a fellow Fox News host on Sean Hannity's network right now. She positions herself as one of the straight news journalists, one of the hard journalists, but she has an obvious conservative bent, as we've discussed in previous videos. So she's asked about the relationship between Donald Trump and the Trump presidency to this conservative Arizona Supreme Court ruling, which is wildly unpopular. And even she admits it's basically Trump's fault. This could not have happened if not for Donald Trump.
The White House and the Biden campaign are actually blaming Trump for Arizona's abortion ruling. In a statement, Vice President Harris says Trump is the one person responsible. Martha, are the Democrats in Biden running on abortion, essentially?
Well, this is a very tricky. I mean, this is an area where they probably should lean in on this issue. It helped them a lot in the midterm elections in 2022. And it is true that the long fight to overthrow Roe v. Wade meant precisely what former President Trump said the other day. This goes back to the states. The states get to vote. In this case, the Arizona legislature decided to bring back into existence this statute that is hundreds of years old on the Arizona books and ban abortion. Now,
it's true. So if not for Donald Trump, as he has repeatedly bragged, folks, this is something that if you take him at face value and he's such a straight shooter, it's because of him that the federal protections afforded by Roe v. Wade and the 50-year super precedent that it established, those were taken away by the Dobbs decision in 2022 as a result of 3 conservative Supreme Court justices Trump appointed, which opened the door for these draconian laws as we're now seeing in Arizona. There's a straight line of causality between Donald Trump and the outcome of this Supreme Court decision. Sean Hannity is trying to blame Democrats for it, but before he does, he first tries to assure people, folks, this will be taken care of in a few days. Don't worry about it. Arizona's got this. They're not going to let Republicans screw this whole thing up. I want to play this clip. Then I'm going to bring you an update as to what happened the same day that Hannity made this prophecy. And then we'll get to the clip where Hannity then tries to shift the blame to Democrats instead of Republicans and Donald Trump.
And the people on the left are so desperate, attacking Trump now for an Arizona Supreme Court ruling that upholds what is a Civil War-era law banning abortion. This will be fixed in the next week or two. Let not your heart be troubled. I can pretty much assure that will happen.
I mean, maybe, but it sure as hell didn't happen that damn day. As a matter of fact, Republicans in Arizona blocked a measure to effectively repeal the law. Right? So the same day he's like, listen, Arizona, it'll be taken care of. Don't worry about it. Republicans in Arizona said, hold my beer. And they blocked Democrats' attempts to repeal the law. So once again, we have yet another reason to hold the GOP directly and singularly accountable for this situation and others like it. But again, note his outrage. He's like, they're trying to hold Donald Trump accountable. Was Martha McCallum, again, Sean Hannity's fellow Fox host, makes the case, if Roe v. Wade were still the quote-unquote law of the land, if it were still the super precedent held up and maintained by the United States Supreme Court, and it was effectively reiterated again in 1992 with Planned Parenthood versus Casey, this Arizona draconian law could not occur. It is only because of Donald Trump and his 3 conservative Supreme Court justices that he appointed that this was allowed to happen. So with all this in mind, a desperate Hannity says, okay, fine. Okay, this is a problem, but it's actually, now it's on the Democrats. Democrats have to take care of this. Democrats have to clean up the Republicans' mess. It's the Democrats' fault.
Trump opposes the law and this ruling, or you can believe Joe's make pretend Donald Trump that doesn't exist. And you know what? Arizona's governor is a Democrat. The state's attorney general is a Democrat. The state legislature is almost evenly divided. If Democrats, you want to get rid of the law, well, you have a chance right now to get rid of it. And I would advise you, get rid of it.
They tried. And again, Republicans in Arizona, the Arizona legislature, blocked it. And let's stick on this for a moment. So Hannity just flat out lied when he said that, the Arizona legislature is 50-50, right? Because again, what he's trying to suggest is that Democrats in Arizona hold key levers of power and key positions such that they can get rid of this law. That it's on them. They have the ability, they have the power to repeal the law, and they're choosing not to exercise it. So they should do that. So as Media Matters points out, Hannity's statement that the state legislature is almost evenly divided is almost comically deceptive. Republicans have majorities in both the state and the state house and the state senate. And earlier that day, as we've discussed, Arizona's GOP lawmakers blocked Democratic efforts to roll back the law in each chamber. Arizona House Speaker Ben Tama, a Republican currently facing a competitive primary, told Axios that he wouldn't support a repeal and wouldn't permit a vote on it. That's not the Democrats' fault. That is 100, not even 99.9%. That is a flat, even, perfect 100% the fault of the Republican Party, religious conservatives, the Fox propaganda network who aid and abet them, and Donald Trump, who made the repeal of Roe v. Wade possible, which allowed this to go through. Democrats have zero culpability in this. It is all exclusively the fault of Republicans. Rarely in today's morally ambiguous world do we find political situations where it's so black and white and the villain is so unambiguous. But as is often the case in modern politics, when there is an unambiguous villain, it's the Republican Party. Now, Sean Hannity also mentioned the Arizona Attorney General. Well, actually, it's funny because she did step up and she made a very ballsy statement, which I completely support. And I love how she's leveraging her power in this situation. We're going to play about a 80-second clip of a press conference she held in the aftermath of this ridiculous ruling. And then I'm going to make another point with it.
Today's decision to reimpose a law from a time when Arizona wasn't a state, the Civil War was still raging, and women could not vote, will go down in history as a stain on our state and on the Supreme Court. It is one of the worst decisions in the history of the Arizona Supreme Court, if not the worst. This is far from the end of the debate on reproductive freedom, and I look forward to the people of Arizona having their say in the matter. And let me be completely clear. As long as I am Attorney General of the state of Arizona, no woman or doctor will be prosecuted.
So right there, folks, there you have it. She is making a commitment to use her powers as effectively the chief prosecutor of Arizona, not to prosecute, not to enforce this absurdly draconian, capricious law. And the other point I want to make, and Olivia Giuliana, who is a young progressive influencer and activist, pointed this out. 281 votes will stop abortion from being prosecuted in the state of Arizona. 281 votes is the margin of victory that Attorney General Chris Mays won by in 2022. Every single vote effing matters. She's right. So this also further emphasizes a point that I hear centrists and disaffected liberals, disaffected leftists say all the time. There's no meaningful difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and my vote doesn't matter. This is proof votes do matter, and there are meaningful substantive differences between the Democratic Party, despite all its faults, and the Republican Party, which is an authoritarian death cult of personality. If you're an eligible voter in the United States, in my opinion, I think you have a moral responsibility to vote and to vote Democrat because your vote can make a difference and will make a difference in terms of the betterment of really the country as a whole, but in particular, women and marginalized groups across the country specifically. Let me know what you think in the comments.